Okay, here we are. Thank you again, everybody, for joining. If anyone has an issue joining the Zoom, please send them the YouTube link. We're also live on YouTube at Temitope Praising Child. And I can see that our speakers are here. Big thank you to them for being part of this meeting. So you might have noticed everybody's muted when they come in. We'll take questions after the first session because our first speaker has to leave for another engagement. And then after that, we will take the introduction to the Link family. And then after that, we will take our second speaker. And then after that, we'll take her questions. And that's how it's going to be. Feel free to put your comments or your questions in the chat box at any time. Feel free to use the emojis. I'm hoping we are all familiar with using the emojis because we're going to have to be celebrating our speakers as we introduce them and encouraging them as we go along. All our speakers have spoken for us in the Link Family series free of charge, and that's how they have from all the series we've had, and we're very grateful to each and every one of them for sparing their time and their expertise for this. So without much ado, we would go to our first speaker of the day. I will put her on the screen now while I introduce her. Okay. So, it happens to be my auntie. Don't ask me how we're related, but we're related. All right. So, she is barrister Funmi Makanju. She has multiple functions. She's a full-time worker, but let me start from where she started from. She attended the prestigious Obafemi Awolowo University in Ile-Ife, was called to the bar in 1985, graduated as a solicitor, and she's also a solicitor in 2 jurisdictions, which is Nigeria and England and Wales, where she got her qualification in the year 2000. And she's a senior solicitor with one of the London councils. I think she's had extensive experience in public litigation, close to 30 years, with a specialist area of housing law. She works full-time as a solicitor. I think I started with that. She's actively involved in the community and loves to sing in the choir. Now, she also has another side to her. She's very active in the church, where she started as a sites person, then became an altar person. She got her bishop certification in 2017 and became a licensed lay minister in the year 2018. She's currently involved in supporting 3 churches in the Rochester diocese. She's also an Anna chaplain, serving those in care homes, providing pastoral care to the residents and their families, and pastoral care to those at home. She conducts dementia-friendly services. She has led social events, bringing churches together. She has been involved in eradication of modern slavery in England in her community and was also a food bank leader. And she also set up the intercessory group in her local church. She is based in London, in the United Kingdom, where she resides with her family. Join me to welcome Barrister Funmi Makanju.
Thank you, Dr. Ayeta. Thank you very much. My first correction is I went to University of Ife, not Obafemi Awolowo University.
Okay, it hadn't changed name then.
Yes, it hadn't changed name then, so I need to make that correction. Yeah, thank you very much, and welcome to everyone who is here today. This evening, I'm not going to wear my legal cap. I'm going to wear my cap as an Anna chaplain because this is part of what I do within the church. So if we look at slide 1, I've raised a few questions there. And in those questions, as we progress with the discussions, I will be addressing each of those questions. Preparing for an aging world. What do we mean by aging? Why is our world getting older? What challenges and opportunities does aging bring? How can
Sorry, 1 minute.
individuals...
1 minute. 1 minute, ma'am.
Okay.
Sorry, I forgot you couldn't hear me.
No.
Let me go back and start again. Okay. Are you happy for us to start here with these questions?
Yes, slide 1. Yeah.
Yes.
What do we mean by aging? Why is our world getting older? What challenges and opportunities does aging bring? How can individuals, families, churches, and communities prepare? What role can Anna chaplaincy play? So the memory verse or the scripture cited there is from Psalm 90, verse 12. Teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. If you go on to slide 2, I've explained who an Anna chaplain is. An Anna chaplain is someone who provides spiritual and emotional care for people in later life. Anna chaplains have gifts, and part of the gifts are to listen to people's stories, offer companionship, and pastoral support. Anna chaplains provide spiritual care to people of strong faith, little faith, or no faith. We don't discriminate. We are there for anyone. We visit people in their homes. We go to care homes and communities. We support people through transitions, loss, loneliness, and change. We help older people recognize that they remain valued and have a contribution to make. Anna chaplaincy is named after Anna, the elderly prophetess in Luke 2:36-38. She was the one who recognized Jesus and spoke about him to others. If you look at the Anna Chaplaincy website, if you Google it, you'll have more information about Anna Chaplains and what we do. We don't work alone. We have people we call Anna friends. For example, if I'm going to a care home to have a dementia-friendly service, I usually go with people who are interested in looking after the elderly. So we go in groups, we go into the care home, we have the service whereby we sing songs which these people probably remember maybe from their primary school days, songs that they're quite familiar with. We know that most of them still recite or remember or can recollect the Lord's Prayer. We say the grace. So it's usually things that they would remember, things that they can engage in. So we go into the care homes, the Anna friends. After the service, we go into the various rooms to see those people who have not been able to come out to join the service. We speak to the people who care for these people in the care homes, the care managers, those in the kitchen. You know, we just try to make everybody feel comfortable. We try to engage with them, try to listen to their stories. And sometimes we have family members who actually come. They know when we come in for the services, so they come to join us. And then you could see the joy and the effect of having us in there conducting a service. Because don't forget, they're in the care homes. Most times they're not able to leave the care homes for services. So we take Christ, we take faith into the care homes so that they're not missing out. Okay, so if we look at slide 3, it talks about the biblical Anna, and it's that verse from Luke's gospel. Anna was an older woman. She was a widow, a person of prayer. She was faithful and spiritually attentive. She was still active and purposeful in later life, someone whose voice and testimony mattered. The important message we can take from Anna's story is that growing older does not mean becoming irrelevant. Anna's life challenges the idea that old age is simply a period of decline. The fact that we are, growing old gracefully does not mean that we then become irrelevant. Growing old means, you still have some qualities, some gifts, which we can pass on to other people around us. We are not aging and saying, we can't do anything more. We've done everything that we can. But growing old, we can still do some things, still be try and make ourselves relevant in our various communities. Can we please go to slide 4? So if I ask, what do we mean by aging? I'm sure previous speakers must have addressed this as well. Aging is much more than getting older. It is a lifelong process, and it involves different aspects of aging. Physical aging, when there are changes in our bodies and health. We start having all those cracks, those pains. We can't, we feel stiff, and we have emotional aging when we have change in experiences, relationships, resilience. When we talk about emotional aging, it might be that there might have been a loss in the family, and things that you used to do, but probably somebody you used to talk to or somebody you shared your life with has gone, and then things begin to change. Social aging, changes in work, family and social networks. Spiritual aging, we begin to ask questions about what is our purpose, our faith, and our legacy. Financial aging, preparing for retirement and longer life. Cognitive aging, changes in memory and mental functioning. This is very, very common now. We are hearing so many cases of people suffering from dementia. We hear people pray that we pray that the dementia doesn't know you, or dementia doesn't come to you. But we have to be realistic. Dementia is something that is, it's happening a lot now, and we need to, educate ourselves, minds prepared. Aging begins from birth. Whether we believe it or not, we are all aging. It's not just the older people that are aging. A child born today, the following year, we're saying, oh, the child has grown a year older. So every year, every day, every second, every minute, we are aging. Can we go to slide 5, please? So when do you think old age begins? Some people will say 60, some will say 65, others 70, 80, or 90. But chronological age does not tell the whole story. If you put two people aged maybe 75 or 65 together in a room, if you look at both of them, you'll find out that they have different issues. Maybe one of them's health is much better than the other. The other is quite active, whilst the other person is immobile. Some of them have developed hobbies. They don't depend on anyone. They're quite active, whereas the other person might need support and care. One might have better finances. They've planned for their future. They were in a good job. The other person might have been living on social funds. Some might have a good family social network. They go out, they visit people, go to other countries, they're more exposed. Whereas the other person might not, be a friendly person, might not associate themselves with other people. They might just be a loner, they just keep to themselves, And sometimes we find people who are stronger in faith, or they have something that they believe in strongly that is keeping them going, whereas somebody else of that same age might just be there, So we should not be looking at age as, I mean, how would you describe somebody who is 80 or 90 and then you say they're growing old? We don't look at the number, we look at the person. What type of life has that person lived before now? Can we please look at slide 6? Aging can bring opportunities and it also has its challenges. Some of the challenges faced by aging is loneliness. Friends may have moved on, friends may have passed on, spouses may have, a spouse might have passed on, might have died, they might have been separated, there might have been a loss in the family, poor health, dementia, financial pressures, loss of independence. When we talk about financial pressures, we're thinking about maybe a family or a parent who is looking after or supporting a child. There's loss of independence, no control. The family units, there might have been a breakup in the family. There's no good social networking within the family. There might have been retirement, and then the fear of the person, becoming a burden to other people. These are part of the challenges that people face when they think about aging. But there are also opportunities because we look at the elder ones, we look at them with the wisdom that they have. What can we benefit from them? They're more experienced, they've seen life, they've got experience. What can we gain from them? The elderly ones can mentor the young ones. We have the grandparents. We have them volunteering in my church. We have them volunteering in the food banks. We have them working as ushers. We have them in the choir. They keep doing things just to keep themselves active. We find them in the prayer groups. They join prayer groups. They join societies, social societies. They go on trips. They go on tours. They have a faith. Some of them, they tell stories about what happened in the past. So we learn history from them and they pass on this knowledge to us. If we read Psalm 92, verse 14, it says, they will still bear fruit in old age. So old age does not mean that, we become redundant. We are no more useful. But when we look at so many of the elders, I mean, I developed a habit of getting used to my dad's or my mom's friends. I'd like to listen to stories from them, learn experiences from them, ask them questions about what happened in the past, or ask their own opinions about, I mean, how do they see things which would be different from my own generation. So we have a lot of opportunities gaining from the elderly. Can we please look at slide 7? Why must we prepare? I know in this part of the world, people are living longer. The Gen Z generation, most of them go into the gym. They're particular about what they eat. They're very, very active. The grandparents, they get them involved in different things that, the grandchildren go to see them, they keep them active, they keep them going. I don't know what happens in other parts of the world, but I know that in this part of the world, statistics say that people are living longer. So if I were to ask us now, if we live longer, what will we need for those additional years? If we live longer, what will we need for those additional years? I'm sure some of you would say money, but actually it's not money that we need. We need to have a purpose. We need to have friendship. We need to have appropriate housing. We need to look into good health care, spiritual support, and good relationships. All these are quite important. It's not just money. If you have money and you don't have a good network of friends around you, you become lonely. If you don't have appropriate housing, for example, you're living in a property whereby you have to climb steps, the body can't take that anymore. So what type of housing do you have? That's why here in the United Kingdom, we have sheltered housing. We have bungalows for those who are aged. The care homes have, some of them have flats upstairs, but of course, those flats, we have lifts that can take us up and down. I don't know what happens in other parts of the world, particularly in Africa, but I know here that this points that I've just raised, purpose, friendship, good healthcare, spiritual support, spiritual support. Do you have friendly type services for them? Are you able to go to visit them? Are they able to come out into church? Are they able to participate, for example, in Bible study? Are they able to go visiting? Maybe you're going having a trip to the motherless baby's home. Are they able to attend as well? So we need to get the elder ones involved in meaningful leadership, that they're not alone. They have people who can talk to them. They have people who can approach them, check on them to ensure that they're fine. And good relationships also mean what type of relationship do the elderly ones have with their children? In these times that we find that families are scattered everywhere. I mean, with using my own family as an example, when my parents were alive, myself and my siblings were abroad. And what myself and my sister usually did was that we alternated going to Nigeria to see our parents. When our mom was on, we couldn't leave our father alone. He needed to see us there. We needed to show him our support. We needed to let him know that he was very much loved, because the relationship he had with my mom was very, very close. And our concern was that if we did not keep an eye on dad, missing his wife, he could go quickly as well, and we didn't want him to go. So it's very important that we have good relationships, and that our elder wants to have good relationships. We need to think about safeguarding, protecting them, ensuring that even if we have, for example, carers looking after them, are you monitoring the carers? Are they doing what you expect them to do? Only last week here in the UK, there was a bit of sad news where a lady had to put CCTV in her mother's room, and she saw how the carer was abusing the mother, and it was very, very painful to see. But if she hadn't had the CCTV there, she wouldn't have known what her mother was going through. And it was so sad in the fact that the mother had a bottle of gin, which they had kept because she was in the care home. While she was in the care home, her husband passed. And the woman said, oh, that her husband loved gin. And because of that, they brought the gin just to keep it beside the mother. The mother would use that to remember her husband. But the carer just, had a field day with it, drank up the gin, got drunk, and became very, very abusive. So that matter is in court now. And I'm sure definitely that she's going to be facing the wrath of the court. Can we please have slide 8, please?
Yeah, it's online. It's
So
on.
there's certain areas. Okay, thank you. There's certain areas that we need to plan. I've listed 5, and these are health. I know Dr. Shola and the other doctor did talk extensively about this, eating, the eyesight, and all that. That was very good last week. I enjoyed that. We also need to think about wealth. Are you thinking about pensions? Are you thinking about your savings and financial planning? What are you doing now? Are you just waiting or depending on the children, or have you planned? Have you planned for your old age? If, for example, now you decide you want to go into a care home. I'm talking about here in the UK now. If you need to go into the care home, they're going to ask you, what savings do you have? Can you afford it? I know of a family that they wanted to move their father into the care home. They couldn't afford the charges the care home was asking for. And unfortunately, because the property, the rooms were upstairs, it became difficult for the old man to be moving upstairs. Eventually, they had to move him into a home. And when they moved him into a home that they could afford, the home was too far from where the family actually resided. And the old man did not last long in the home before he passed on, because the environment, everything was different. The family could not keep coming, on a regular basis because of the distance. He couldn't understand it. And sadly, he was also facing dementia. So, there was a lot of things happening at the time. So we need to think about our well so that we can begin to prepare well in case we want to go into care. Do we have enough savings that would ensure that we get what we want? The home, is it safe? Is it suitable? Is it accessible? When I talk about being safe, like I said, I did mention CCTV previously. My siblings, we ensured that in my father's house we had the CCTV installed in the house. And I can tell you that it was the CCTV. We were here, we were watching the CCTV. I'd log on in the morning, put on the CCTV and be watching what was happening in the house. Everybody coming in and out, I could see. If she was taking food into to my dad, I could see. And when I realized that there was a problem, I had to home siblings and said there was a problem back home. I had to rush off to Nigeria to save dad from whatever the carer was doing. So we need to ensure that the home is safe for the elder person. Is it suitable? Is it accessible? Do you have, for example, I know we have some properties where all the rooms are upstairs. You don't have any rooms downstairs. How is the aged person going to be moving from upstairs, downstairs, upstairs? So you need to ensure that the property is suitable and accessible. Where you have stairs, do you have ramps into the house? These are the type of things that we need to consider. Then we also need to consider relationships, the family, the friends. Do you have a strong network of people who can pop in, pop out? Are there people who can decide and say, oh, let's go this weekend, or let's go today, let's go to central London, or let's go to the museum, just to keep life going? You can't allow the aged ones to be just homebound. They need a bit of activity. They need to be mobile as well. They need to see what's happening outside. What is the purpose? Do they have the opportunity of volunteering? Is there work? Are they doing some unpaid job somewhere? We find some elderly people still working in the food bank. They go there every Saturday morning and help to pack up bags for those who are coming in. And this just helps them because they have the opportunity of interacting with other people. Some of them are just home alone, but when they have the opportunity of going out to volunteer, or they have the opportunity of doing some activity with the church, it does help. In my church, you find some of them doing, they're ushers. They even tell you that, oh, they're not old. They're still able to move around. They need to move around. They want to meet and greet people when they come into church. And we allow them to do that because that is what they love to do, you know. Yeah, Justin, you just told me I have 5 more minutes. So I just quickly rushed through the rest. Last week we heard about preparing for health and care. I'm now on slide 10.
Okay.
Preparing for health and care. We talked about healthy lifestyle choices, going for regular health checks, exercise and mobility. mental and emotional well-being. That's very important. We need to look after that. Future care preferences. We need to have conversations with the family. It's very, very important that we have conversations so that at least we know what is going on in the minds of the elderly ones, and what the children too, what's so that they can understand what the aged person is going through and how they can help, how they can support, and then so they can begin to plan for possible dependency. So the aim should be maximum independence for as long as possible with appropriate support when needed. I'm now on slide 11, preparing our homes and communities. An aging society needs accessible homes, safe pavements. Here in England, we talk about safe pavements and transportation, mobility scooters, places to meet, social events. In my church, we have a program for the aged whereby we call it Sing Along. We have people who come in, sing songs that the aged people are familiar with, maybe songs that they were singing in the 1960s, 1950s, and they remember, they can recollect or reconnect with that. We also have the Batch Club, whereby we cook for them. They all come in, we bring them from different homes. They come in to the Batch Club. We have games. Some of them like to play bingo. They play the bingo. We have somebody who cracks jokes, different activities just to keep them going. Within the community, we also have barbecues, fun fairs, outings. Then it's very important to get our age ones digital inclusion. They need to know what's happening now, the trend, knowing, getting involved in TikTok, YouTube, is quite important. Then we need to support those who are living alone. I reiterate again with the CCTV so that you can see what's actually happening where the aged people are. We need to have age-friendly churches and community buildings whereby we have ramps, hearing aids, visual projectors. Toilets is very important. In my church, we used to have the toilets in the church hall, but now we've moved the toilets. We now have toilets and pre-toilets are put into the church building so that the aged people can easily go to the toilet without embarrassing themselves. Safeguarding also is very, very important. So my question to us is our church or community a place where an older person can still belong, participate, and contribute? Slide 12 talks about the dangers of loneliness. Age can sometimes mean losing a spouse or friend or colleague. Uh, Social networks, independence, we lose our familiar routines. Loneliness can therefore become a major issue. The church has an important ministry of presence whereby we listen, we visit, we encourage, and we pray. And this is at the heart of the Anna chaplaincy. Slide 13, we talk about spiritual care. This is very, very important. Growing older can raise deep questions whereby the aged ones begin to ask, what has my life meant? What have I achieved? What do I regret in life? What will I leave behind? Where is God in my circumstances? And then what happens when I die? Can I still contribute? Anna Chaplaincy provides a space for people to explore these questions through listening, companionship, and spiritual care. So, what can families do? I'm on slide 14. Families need to begin to talk about health, finances, housing, care, wills, end of life wishes, faith, and family responsibilities. They don't need to wait for a crisis. We need to have the conversation while we can. I remember with my dad's situation, we weren't scared or worried about talking about death because we knew that it was going to come. He was in his 90s and he planned well. I'm sure there's some people on the call who knew my parents or who knew my dad. He planned well for, his for his life and his for his death and after death. I'm now on slide 15. What can the church do? The church can recognize the gifts of older people, train pastoral visitors, develop Anna chaplaincy, visit people who are housebound, support care homes, address loneliness, provide intergenerational, create for older people to serve as they're able to, whether in the choir, ushers, or readers. Offer spiritual and emotional care. Assist with shopping. Listen and show you are actually hearing them. Older people should not simply be recipients of ministry, they can also be ministers. So I go on to slide 16, preparing the next generation. We need to teach younger people that aging is not someone else's problem. One day, today's young people will be tomorrow's older people. So preparation should begin at home, in schools, in churches, in workplaces, and in financial planning. Slide 17, a simple plan. P, prepare health, finances, and future needs. L, live, create suitable homes and communities. A, arrange legal, financial, and care arrangements. N, nurture relationships, faith, purpose, and contribution. I'm going to ask a question. I mean, it's something for us to reflect about on slide 18. This is especially for those who are outside of the UK. What is the greatest challenge facing older people in your community? What are you already doing well? What are you not doing well enough? How can your church become more age-friendly? What could an Anna chaplaincy ministry look like in your community? So those are questions you can take away and discuss in your various church communities. So we go on to slide 19. So what is our key message? We should not wait until we are old to prepare for old age. We need to prepare as individuals, as families, and as a church, communities. I know the UK government does a lot about caring for the elderly. That's why we have so much about care homes, about safeguarding, and about the quality of people who are working in these care homes. I don't know how it is in other parts of the world, especially in Africa. We need to change the conversation from how do we care for old people to how do we help people grow older well. Slide 20, please. Growing older is not simply about adding years to life. It is about helping people to experience dignity, purpose, belonging, faith, hope. And I end again with Psalm 92, verse 14. They will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green. Thank you.
Big thank you, Barrister Funmi Makanju. That's been an amazing presentation. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you.
So I'm hoping we have some questions because she has another engagement, and so she would like to take one or two questions before she leaves. However, if you think of any questions after she's left, you can direct them to me and I'll get them to her and get the answers back to you. So do we have any questions from the house? I definitely like that acronym about plan. It's very easy to put in perspective what we need to do.
Yeah.
Yes, and that statement about is not about adding years to life. I would like to say is to be adding life to years.
Yeah.
And also that I don't know who said it. I'm trying to remember who said it, but it was a popular person that whether you say you can or you can't, you are right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter if you're old and you decide you're interested in precious stones, you're old and you're interested in studying law. Why
Yeah.
not? You're interested in being a doctor, you're interested in teaching younger people, you're interested in dancing, going to the gym, becoming really fit. Those are all things that you can do. And those are things people have already done, actually. So it's not impossible. As long as you can dream it, you can be it. So let that be an encouragement to every one of us. Anybody have a question? If we don't, we have to move on quite fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not a question though, but I wanted to just say thank you very much, Barrister, for this is beautiful. This is good. I missed the early part of it, but towards the end, one of the things you said there that that actually kind of resonated with me, that I know definitely there had to be some change in the way we do things, especially from the church standpoint, putting into cognizance the things that would help our elderly ones to find expression among us. They are not to be only ministered to. You did say that they should also be given the opportunity to minister because they had it in them and they still have it in them. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. If you Google me on Google, you find one or two articles that I've written on aging. And if you Google Anna chaplaincy, there's a lot to read about and a lot for churches to take away from.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, of your evening.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
We'll let you take your leave now. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Can I just make a comment? Thank you for the beautiful presentation. Is it possible to get a small write-up that we can introduce to our church leaders in Nigeria? Many of our churches at home are not doing enough for the elderly. So it would be nice to give them a page, to give them a push so that they will be able to introduce some of these aspects to the activities of our churches in Nigeria. They are trying a lot on the youth to direct the youth and to bring them up the right way. But for the elderly, they are not, the churches are not doing enough.
Yeah, I thought about that as well. I'm actually writing a book. I haven't completed the book, but yes, I'll give you a write-up which you can share with your church back home.
That would be awesome. And if possible, if you decide you want to do a virtual meeting, and we should invite all the pastors and pastor missuses to come and listen, just to nudge them in the right direction.
That would be fantastic. That would be good.
That would probably be a great idea as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
We'll talk about that later. Thank you very much.
Okay. Mommy Oguntubi has a question.
Thank you very much.
Mommy Oguntubi, please unmute yourself. I can see your hand is up. I know you asked for her contacts, but I can get with her permission. But you can speak, ma.
Good evening, my beloved.
Good evening, ma.
Auntie, thank you very much.
Yes, ma. Thank you, ma.
God will bless you.
Amen, ma.
Higher and higher in Jesus' name.
Amen, ma.
I just want you to encourage me. I don't know what happened.
Yes, ma.
I like worshiping my God. I like being in the presence of God.
Yes, ma.
All my life, I don't contest with my God at all. But
where are you based, ma? Where are you based?
I'm in Nigeria here, ma.
Yeah.
I want to ask that you please give us your number, and then from time to time, not demanding anything, just but I want a companion who will be encouraging me, because just now I can walk in Jesus' name. I don't want to put negative part.
Yes,
and by next year I will be 80. Then the weight is there.
Yes,
and at times I'm not really somebody who can go do what you like, drive to where you want. All of a sudden, you are just in one spot.
Don't worry, ma. I'll be your Anna friend. I'll be your friend. So tell me, help me collect her number, and then I'll collect it from you later.
Okay, ma.
I'll be in touch with her. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. God bless you, ma.
Bless you, ma. Yes, ma.
Pastor Sukomi, are you ready to take introductions, or I should go on?
Yeah. All right. Wow.
Thank you. We will need to keep it very short so that our next speaker can get on.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so very much, everyone. This has been very juicy.
And all these your t-shirts, just carry them and post them to me, because all this harassment is now too much.
Why is that this thing you are seeing? Please don't be distracted by that, okay, everyone. So it's the time to do introduction very briefly of why we're here, what this the Link family means, and what we do. And I always like to anchor this introduction on Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 3 and 4. says that there is an evil he has seen under the heaven, under the sun. Say the one that is happening to all. The day we were born, we started to age. So it's happening to all. And he said, truly the hearts of Son of Men are full of evil. Madness is in their hearts. Why they live? And after they go to the dead, it's something that goes from beginning to the end. Say, but, verse 4 say, but for him who is joined to the living, there is hope. For a living dog is better than a dead lion. So the whole essence of it is to create a link for you, create a community for you, create a place where you can get resources, where you can get people also, like what we just saw now, the connection between Mama Beatrice Oguntubi and the barista. That kind of link, that kind of opportunity is why the Link family was birthed. So we have an amazing online community from people 16 years of age and above, and it could be, they could be couples, they could be singles, they could be just people from all walks of life and tribe, nation, race, religion. It doesn't matter whether Christian, Muslim, whatever religion. We're not biased in that sense, though our guiding principles are the biblical ones. So, and this group was founded by Dr. Temitope Ayedun, the present child, in 2020. And that would mean like 6 years ago. And we usually have weekly meetings on Fridays on Zoom, and it will also be live streamed on YouTube. This YouTube handle again will be put in the chat room. You can see that. And while the Friday meetings are going on live, we do YouTube streaming too. But we usually do two kind of Fridays meeting. One where we would just pray, meet to pray, and the other one where we take a character in the Bible and we would make from their lives. And it's been awesome. It's been awesome. You can go and relive on the experience of the past ones that we have had. And that will be a blessing to you. Have been tremendously blessed. And I know you'll be blessed as well. And there will also be in the chat room a link for the WhatsApp group. If you want to be a part of the group, you can be. After, just little vetting, you would be admitted once you click on the link and you show your interest in joining. I would think that would be it. So just know that at the end of this next section we're going to have, there will be questions again. Please, you can unmute to ask your questions. You can put them in the chat room. And at the end of everything, there is going to be a group photograph. So a photo of the group. Don't run away. Would crave your indulgence to turn on your camera so we can take your picture at the end. Thank you. I would pass it back to the present child. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pastor Sukomi. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker. She is also a lawyer, and I will be putting her on the screen shortly. Thank you all for your patience, and apologies for the pitches in the tech earlier. Okay, there we have her. Okay, so Barrister Gbemisola Adenuga is a lawyer, integrative life coach, and certified mediator. She finished her Bachelor of Law at the University of Lagos. She was called to the Nigerian Bar in 2001. She has a Master's of Law from the University of Wales in the United Kingdom, and International Business Law and Diploma in International Commercial Arbitration from the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, London. She worked in the law firms of Odujinrin and Adefulu and Olaniru Ajayi as company secretary and project manager for Law e-Products with Odade Investment Limited. She is the partner at Novate Associates and a consultant with the Throne Legal Associates. She volunteers as legal advisor with Global Leadership Development Forum and Misra Leadership Center. She is also the head of the legal aid unit of Daystar Christian Church. She's also the head of a women's group that I am a part of called Z Women, an amazing group of women. And she loves to hit the gym, and she's happily married with her family in the lovely, bustling city of Lagos, Nigeria. Join me to welcome Barrister Gbemisola Adenuga.
Good evening, everyone. You just had to add that, eh? All right, good evening. I've been introduced, so I'll just go straight to it so that we'll maximize our time. And I'll be talking on, of course, the topic is future planning in the aging. And I'll be taking it from a legal angle, as we all are aware. So let us take it. So we all know that we'll age. It is a certainty. So instead of fearing aging, I think what is important is we should prepare for it. Preparing for it has different focus. I'm sure with the ages, with the different people that are here, we have different stories, what have happened to different people around us. So the earlier we prepare, the more choices we retain. You're able to plan, you're able to decide how you want your aging to look like and how you want death to look like for you. Yes, we shouldn't be afraid to talk about death because that is a certainty. The focus should be planning for dignity, independence, security, and peace of mind. So we should never even think about the question, how long will I live? Because nobody has that answer, only God. The question we should always have at the back of our minds, and for our parents, for those that our parents are not here and are still alive, is how do I want to live as I grow older? Or how do I want my parents to live as they grow older? What do I need to put in place to make that possible, both for myself and then for my family? Passing on property is not the same as passing on wealth. So many of us are buying up assets and taking and acquiring different things that we aim to transfer to our children. But there's a difference between just owning property and passing on wealth. What does future planning really mean? Before I go into the legal, I would like us to just have this in our minds. My learned senior and bishop has already mentioned some of these things already. Health and care, family and relationship, the emotional, social, and our spiritual aspects. The two aspects that are critical that also support the first three is finance and the legal and your estate planning. So if there is no money, one of the incidents she talked about, the preferred option that the option that they eventually went for was so far away. And in the end, they lost the person within a short possible time. So their finance is important. Where does the finance come from? Where is it going to come from? Is it coming from me, the children? Is it coming from me, the individual? That's where the legal and estate planning comes into place. But before we go into all this, how many of us are able to have family conversations, answering the difficult questions? You know, when you want to talk about death, or you're asking your father, so where are all the properties that you have? He said, why are you interested in knowing where my properties are? Do you wish that I am dead? You know, those are some of the myths that we've carried along. So the conversations are uncomfortable. There's a lot of secrecy. Some of us don't know how many bank accounts our parents have and where they are, how much is in their account. But the problem is silence does not eliminate problems. It only leaves uncertainty and ambiguity and sometimes conflict. You know, when people, as they go older, you know, they start to talk about, oh, I have a property there, I would like to give it to this person. Or you even say that, oh, I'm giving it to this person. And at the end of the day, maybe the will that comes out conflicts with what we have all heard. And then the fighting starts. So it is better that it is documented. At the end of the day, whether if you say, oh, that's not what he told me, but the will is saying something different. If you end up in court after 2, 3, 5 years, the judgment comes out. It is more likely the physical document that will win above all. So it is important that we reduce the secrecy, eliminate issues that can arise by, let's make sure that we're able to answer the question, have I made my wishes clear? What are the wishes that you have? And if you change your mind, you can change what you have already stated. There's something called a codicil to a will that can correct any changes that you want. So even your trust instructions, if you decide to go by trust, you can always change the mandates that you've given. So let's not say that, oh, I'm not clear yet. The ones you're sure of, document it and let it be kept somewhere. So that in case of incasity, because we never know, nobody knows when we're going to die, only God. So let's make it clear so that you can always, after you leave, ensure that my wishes have been made clear and they will be executed as I want them to. I've just listed some of the topics that we usually avoid, but these are the conversations that we should have as a family. Benefits of future planning, like I said, it avoids conflicts. Common sources of conflict, unequal expectations for children. Good estate planning is not about distributing wealth. It's also about preserving relationships. You don't want, when you are gone, the children, there will be infighting and disputes. Relationships are broken. So let's, as much as possible, document what you want and let it be clear so that you are preserving relationships and things are not broken down. We from our end as lawyers, we've seen different things happen. Even a will that seems to be perfectly clear, towards the end, you find the families disputing. But as much as possible, the documentary evidence speaks over any verbal communication. I've stated some of the common conflicts that you are able to resolve when you have your wishes documented. A clear plan prevents children disputing over what their parents intended, said, wished. You know, there's just a lot that can be resolved when it is written out and clearly stated. Now let's go deep into legal and estate planning. We hear estate planning. What is an estate planning? It is simply everything a person owns at the time of their death. So if a person dies intestate, that's without a will, when you process the probate, then you go to the bank, they create what you call the estate, an account called the estate of Mr. X and Y. So the estate in that context compasses everything that that person owns at the time of their death. So that's what we mean when we talk about estate planning. not estates as in an estate that people live in. So another word that is commonly used when we talk about estates is assets. So the first thing we ask you as a lawyer is, okay, so what are the assets that you have? So the assets will be the house, the cars, your shares, personal effects, your generator, they're all assets. But it's important to know that sometimes liabilities also follow an asset. So for example, if the house you're living in is still under a mortgage, whoever inherits that property also inherits the mortgage. So if there's an unpaid portion of that mortgage, you have to pay it up. If the car is bought by a facility, whatever is outstanding moves with the car to the new owner. So don't just think, oh, I'm going to inherit, excuse me, I'm going to inherit the car. Make sure that the car doesn't come with its liabilities that you may also have to inherit. It is important in developing assets that it's in a form and medium that is transferable. A lot of people own property that is in a form that is not transferable. You have unregistered deed. When you buy a house, land, whatever it is, you have a receipt. You know where the land is. The Baale of the community knows that this land belongs to you. When you pass on, trouble starts. Most times, the family lose those land because it's not easily transferable. The Supreme Court has stated that an unregistered deed of assignment cannot be used to prove legal ownership in court. So you can't even take someone to court and say that this property belongs to me. You have to, sit down, negotiate, and if the person insists that no, your father doesn't own this land, it's gone. So some of the assets that has been built over years are lost. And I know my mother-in-law in some of the areas in Ibeju, she lost land, acres of land, plots, because of issues like this. It's not in a transferable form. So what makes it transferable? There's a document saying that this belongs to you. And the document must be one that is recognizable. So if it's landed property, it must be registered at the Lands Bureau of that state. So if it's in Oyo State, the land registry there you have to make sure that it is registered there. So I bought it from Mr. Tamedo, and you held on to it until you register it in lands, and in the land registry, it shows that you are the owner. It is not in a transferable format, and you can have problems down the line. Another thing we need to note when we are taking on property and registering them, the name. If the name on your driver's license, or right now, what I usually advise people is the names on your NIM, that's the names you should use, and in the order in which it is stated. So my name is Gbemisola Bukola Adenuga. I can decide to, I should not be writing Bukola Gbemisola Adenuga. That can be deemed another person entirely. And it is possible because I've met somebody that is Gbemisola Adenuga. So it's the middle name that sort of distinguishes. So the order is also important because, so I'm working on a letter of administration. On his NIN, he has his Christian name, but in the bank, the Christian name was not present. So when we approached the bank, they flagged it, even though they gave us the information. So we had to go back to the probate in Lagos, and they added, they have what they call Elias. So his name is, let's assume his name is Joseph Abraham, Joseph Olasukomi Adekunle. In the bank, he didn't put Joseph. So we had to also put an alias as Joseph, as Adekunle Olasukomi. The order in, and the bank gave us the order in which, because if we had taken it as Joseph Olasukomi Adekunle, the bank would say it's not the same person. So it's important that the names are arranged in the same format. And if we have documentations that are not in the same format, it will be good now for us to correct all those things. Or going forward, let's start correcting and be careful of that. So now, another thing we find is, yes, we know that, you know, your father owns this, your mother owns this, but where are they? Where are the original title documents? Yes, we have photocopies all over the place, but where are the original? And sometimes because they are original, we keep them in a safe place, and then we forget the safe place that we've kept them. So it's important that we know where the original is. These are some of the other questions that we should consider when we are planning our estate. What should happen to the property? If there's going to be a property manager, what happens if the owner becomes incapacitated? And now, the person is alive, but the person is not able to maybe earn, or one challenge or the other. The person is experiencing one challenge or the other. I think I've talked about this already. Have I made my wishes clear? Transferring of assets is not guaranteed because I am a child of the person. That myth, we need to throw it away. Sometimes the person, our parents want to give people that were close to them when they were in their dying days. So the fact that you're a child abroad, you shouldn't just assume that it will transfer to you. Let us be more open and flexible. Without proper plannings, families can face disputes. We've mentioned this. Now, I put this storage here because I've already said earlier that sometimes we keep them in such a safe place that we forget the safe place. But there are security vaults that we can use to keep some of these assets. And these are the 3 that I have seen in Lagos. I just did a simple search and I saw these 3 in Lagos. I do not know anything about them, but I'm just letting you know the possibilities where you don't have to keep it in the house, under the bed. Your house could be boggled, you could have fire, you know, many things can happen. But the security vaults are also protected against fire. They use fireproof vaults and all that. So these are options when it comes to storing our documents. Now, asset transfer. We are all conversant with some of these: wills, power of attorney, property documentation, trusts. I will just hone in on trust for a bit. Trust arrangements are, it's a medium of transfer, which many people do not favor, because one of the things with a trust is that the asset has to be transferred to the trust, and it is as if you are losing ownership. But it is a trust. You know, you have to trust somebody. So you are trusting the arrangements that it will be implemented in the way that you have stated. So there is an arrangement, there are beneficiaries, there are instructions, and the trust to be administered according to how you have stated. So today I have a client that we are currently in that discussion, and his instructions when we have the first meeting is, there are 3 areas that I want the trust to focus on for my generation: education, health, what was the third thing? I've forgotten what the third thing is right now, but he mentioned those 3 areas. So if you have any child, grandchild, great-grandchild, anyone in that generation that is interested in doing master's, PhD, the trust will fund it 100%. He said, I am not interested in distributing money. Let them, that yes, twice a year, they will, maybe like 10% of the income will be shared. But the majority of the money, I want it to be able to take care of health. Somebody has a need for a surgery. We are using 2-3 months to raise money. Once the medical bill has been presented to the trust, they have verified it, the trust should pay. He said, I want to ensure the security of my generation so that people would not die unnecessarily. When they are well educated, they're able to make money and take care of themselves. So that is the trust arrangement that we're about to go into. That is one of the ways you can plan for the future, for the next generation, 3, 4, 5, 10 generations. There are trusts that are as old as 100 years. So it can be there in perpetuity. Business succession. This is handing over when it comes to companies. You can also make arrangements in for how a business will transition to the next and the 5th, 4th, 6th generation. Planning for incapacity. I had mentioned earlier, there are different reasons for someone being incapacitated. Memory, sight. Towards the end of my mother-in-law's later years, she lost her sight because by the time we discovered the level of her glaucoma, there was nothing that could be done, and towards the end, she lost her sight. So in situations like that, what would happen to that person? What plans can you put in place? Barrister Funmi talked about home residential arrangements and how to ensure that people are protected. What if the person would prefer to stay at home? I don't want to go to a residential home. So can the house be done in such a way that the person can still live there? What are the provisions that can be made? Another thing that you might have to put into consideration, power of attorney. So I had recently, I think last year, done a power of attorney for my friend's mom. Already, they have noticed that she's in the early stages of dementia. So there is a power in attorney in place today that when she gets to that stage where she cannot reasonably make decisions, there are 2 people that have already been appointed to ensure that decisions concerning her health those decisions can be made for her. Her husband is not one of those people. 1, he may not be alive at the time. 2, he might be more emotional in his decisions. So a power of attorney are some things you can consider to help when it comes into the place of incapacity. And like you have noticed, they have already seen the signs and they have prepared so that it is not when it happens that we'll now start, oh, what should we do? What should we do? And there are conflicts. It's also important to do it early because at that stage, she is also coherent. And because she is saying, when I get to a stage that I cannot make decisions, I am appointing this and this to make decisions for me. If she makes it when she is closer to a place where memory can be disputed, you can challenge the power of attorney. But right now, where we know that her memory is still at 80%, we have put that in place. So these are some of the considerations that we're seeing people do, and these are how you can plan ahead. So now I have done what I call a future file. What is a future file? When you want to plan for the future, we will all age. So the files should help us in identifying the things that we should have in mind. Personal information. What are the personal information that are critical to you? Where is all the things that are personal to the individual? Then things like your ID card, your any personal effects, where are they? If the person's medical history also should, who is the doctor that should be immediately called? So this client that called me for a trust arrangement. What led to him? It's something that he had been working on since like late last year. What made him have this meeting with me? He recently lost his friend. And when the friend was in the hospital, he was already getting better. He was going to be discharged the evening, and then he passed. But the day before, he had been telling his best friend that when I pass, these are the 3 people you should call first. And it was one, of course, the best friend was one, my client, and a 3rd person. So who are the emergency contacts? Where are those numbers? That information should be somewhere accessible so we know who to call immediately. Assets information. What are the documents I have? Where are they located? Where are the documents? If you have decided to keep them in a security vault, beautiful, you can state where they are. And you know, the vaults will also have their mode of identifying who is the proper person to come if peradventure you the original owner is no longer alive. So those will be sorted there if you choose to go through that option. But documents, where are they kept? What are the documents that you have? It should be listed. Vehicles, your shares. A lot of times we have, when a family member has passed and we're looking through the assets and I asked who shares, they said, I have no idea. So let's list them. Do you have any business interest? Oh, I invested in Dangote resource, Dangote, what do you call those things that they do now?
Refinery,
whatever. Sorry, what do you say?
Refinery, sugar, cement.
Yes. So you know they have they call them commercial papers. Yes. So I invested in a commercial paper. That is going to mature in 2030 or sometime down the line. All those things should be listed somewhere because a lot of times we don't know. We are just sitting down doing all those investments, but you see all those documentation, especially those that are going to take a long time to mature. Let's have them documented somewhere. Then your personal wishes, like I said, then your financial information, your bank account, all the bank accounts that you have. Let it be written somewhere, your investments, your pension, all this information, they help the family in the long run when you are no longer there. If you have a will, the lawyer that is involved should be stated. All this important information help form what you call your future file. So the file should be secured, should be securely stored. So it must be somewhere as well, not somewhere that we'll forget. Securely does not mean secret, but it should be kept somewhere. people should be aware of it. It is, yes, your children. So I've done a will and I've been involved in another one where the children knew what was in the will. There wasn't any hiding. And they also have trusted people that are aware. People that will be less emotional so that they can quell fires when they start to happen. And people that your children have a tendency to respect. So they should know that it exists and they should know where it is whenever the necessity arises. So in conclusion, I would say don't wait for the emergency. Let's plan ahead. Planning is not just about money, but it's planning, preparing the next generation. The responsibility is not only with the elderly. The starting point should be respect. So as trusted people, as children, we should respect the wishes of our elderly parents. We should allow them the autonomy to do what they want. Have the conversation. It's not an argument, but at the end of the day, let them decide what they want to do. After that conversation, they can come back to you and say, oh, after that conversation, I've thought about it and I don't want to do it this way. You cannot convince anybody. You know, I remember when I had a light bulb moment, and it was when somebody said, convicting is the work of the Holy Spirit. Our work is to deliver the message. The Holy Spirit is the one that convicts, and they will now give their life to Christ. So it's the same thing. You cannot convince anybody. The person would make their own decisions. So have the conversation. Don't make it an argument. Don't make it you must. And that leads to dignity. The person is able to change their minds because you are giving them dignity and respect when it comes to their wishes. So children and family members should respect the independence and dignity of the older ones, understand their wishes and respect it. Know where important things are kept, understand family assets and responsibilities. And in this place, it's when you have parents that are more dependent. So you have one person that is physically available and seems to always be doing the work, and another person is just sending money. Sometimes it feels skewed. The person giving money is also doing a lot. You don't know what the person may be sacrificing. So it's important for us to somewhat be open to ourselves. Have the difficult conversations early. Avoid treating elderly people as incapable. The fact that she is 90 and saying, I want it this way, does not mean that she is out of her mind. She is not mentally capable. Let's still respect them and treat them with dignity. When we do, they're able to sometimes shift from the position that we're taking. You know, I usually have a laugh. I said, when my siblings are talking, I was like, my dad is very old. He's very old. It's not easy to move a tree. You know, he's formed in his ways, his tree. And one day I was just researching and I saw that 80 means the year of the oak. And, you know, I just had a laugh because I was like, I used to say my dad is like an oak tree. So, and I saw that 80 is the year of the oak. So sometimes they're a bit stiff. You cannot force an oak tree to shift. It will end up breaking. So let us still respect them. And eventually, a lot of the things that we used to argue with my dad for, somehow he has sort of shifted. And it's because we just gave him space. So when he just starts and says, no, I just leave him. He can come a month later and has done what you told him to do without telling you. You have just done it. I'm like, So give them the respect and treat them as if they still have capacity. They are older, yes, but they haven't lost their capacity. So age does not automatically remove their ability to make decisions. And I just give these 3 questions as a take-home assignment. 1, what matters most to you as you grow up? And this is for our elderly. What matters most to you? Put it in place. What would you want us to do if you could no longer make decisions for yourself? So those are the things that you should also let us know. What should we put in place now to make that easier for everyone? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Right, Gbemi. I will be joining you now as we start taking questions. Please, let's give her a round of applause. That's been a brilliant presentation. Future planning is a rather touchy subject. Where are you? I wasn't replacing.
I'm here.
I wanted to add myself to the screen. Apparently it was add pin I was supposed to do. Yeah. Yes. So yes, it's a bit of a touchy subject, but I think there's also a cultural side to it that we don't really like talking about death in Africa. We just believe that I don't know. I don't know. We don't want to die, but we all want to.
Nobody wants to die.
I don't know how
when you start talking about death, they already think they are going to die. So we avoid it.
A particular conversation. I think it happened about the time one of my uncles passed. And then there was this discussion about where exactly was he going to be buried, etc., etc. Well, as I said, it's not a very comfortable topic. But then that was my opportunity to ask my folks that, where do you want to rest? And they just said it, and that was that. And I have parents in England as well. And we had this conversation again, and they said, anywhere we are is where we want to rest. Meaning if they pass in the UK, they will rest in the UK. If they pass in Africa, they'll rest in Africa. And that is fine because that removes a lot of thoughts for people that are apparently grieving at that time, even if it is an expected grief at a very long old age, which we pray for all of them.
Yeah.
But yes, these are conversations that need to be had. And as we've mentioned before, our times are in God's hands. I think even as young as 50, you should have a plan. You should have a plan in place about what you want to do going forward. And I think one of the best gifts we can give to our younger ones, especially like our children, is discovering their purpose early. So that it's not when you get to 70, 80, you're just still trying to figure out, why am I here? Those are questions that you should have answered like long ago and be living in your purpose and living a fulfilled life, which is very important.
Sure.
And then in the UK, they have, you spoke about it, power of attorney. But in UK, they do power of attorney for finance, then they do power of attorney for health. So, and sometimes it's the same person, and sometimes it's different people. But it's also about having a plan in place and letting older people maintain their autonomy, that at the time they can choose, let them choose who is going to do this for them. And I also wanted to add in something that is now more mainstream, and that is the digital age. So you might have digital assets, you might have copyrights, you might have royalties. These are things you have to plan for. Things as basic as your phone. For instance, I insisted that my parents don't use fingerprints on their phones. They should use passwords, or they can use patterns, which we, the children, know. God forbid, if we need to access your phone, we're able to access your phone, and nobody else knows. So those are things that are more common, more mainstream, but I'm just trying to say, you don't have to accept every fad. It has to be working for you. It's not because they sell you, fingerprints opens everywhere. If anything happens to you, are they going to be dragging you around looking for your fingerprints or cloning you? So even I use passwords, and it's for that same reason as well, because I can tell somebody my password or the numbers to open my phone, and there wouldn't be an issue about it. So those are just a few things I wanted to add because of the way the world is changing so fast.
Awesome.
There was some questions in the chats. So one of the questions was, how do we find out if the land we purchased has been registered in our names? That's one. The second question from Sister Ibis is, please, what happens to the trust if the trust company goes into liquidation?
Okay, all right. So I can say a question before that, which is from Princess.
Yes, Mommy Princess. What is
a registered deed? So when you buy land, you get a deed of assignment. At that point in time, it's unregistered. So you need to take it to the Lands Bureau and get it registered with the government. So if you see at the end of the deed of assignment, there's always the place where you have the governor's consent. So until you get that governor's consent, that deed is unregistered. So but the person that if the person passes at whatever point and it's still being processed, you probably still have a better chance at claiming ownership because it's already in process. You're just waiting for the governor's consent. But if it's not registered, it's not in the lands registry, then it is an unregistered deed. So to Eba's questions, how do you know that it's what you've purchased is registered in our names? When you buy it, you have to make sure that you get all your documentations, and then you make sure the names, they will ask you what names do you want, and consistency in name, like I've said, I have used so on my birth certificate, my second name is actually Olubukunla, but Jam made us shorten it because Gbemisola and Olubukunla and Oshidubi was just too long. So the Olu came off, and I have just always, from uni up to date, consistently used those two. And then the surname. And so you have to do the work of checking and be sure, collect all your documentations, make sure they're properly signed, and then do the work of going to lands. A lot of people say, so I will just dash government 2 million like that. You dash government 2 million and you know that the property is your dash the government to 2 million. Even if you use 3 months salary to pay, just pay it. You are sure and are confident that you own the property. We're seeing situations where on a property, 2 C of O's, you now go to land, they will now tell you that, the second one is fake. So there's a lot happening when it comes to land. And when it comes to Omonile land, they sold to 5 people. So there's a lot happening, and it's now even expanding outside Lagos. So you can't say, I'll go and buy land in Oyo State. It can still happen. So ensure that after you've bought it, you register it. It's not so what people did was they registered the survey, and before we had unregistered surveys, but with surveys now, once you do the survey, the Lagos State has done it in such a way that it has to be registered. So you would pay for that. So that is better, but it's not perfect. The deed with the governor's consent is the best. Then if the trust company goes into liquidation, before the trust company goes into liquidation, it's going to, I would say that it's very hard. Why? Trust companies are regulated by SEC. They have a minimum share capital. They are highly regulated. So it is a highly regulated industry. Before it will go into liquidation, SEC will be aware. And your assets are also covered. So the way the trust company has the instructions, but the money is not domiciled So let's assume it's money. The money is not particularly domiciled in the trust companies. There are safeguards that the government has put, SEC has put, to ensure that, because you're dealing with other people's money, they're highly regulated. It's like a bank. Before a bank, even after a bank goes into distress, there's still NDIC, CBN will step in to ensure that the depositors are protected. So it's not, I understand the anxiety, but it's not like that. I understand as if they're like 100 trust companies. They're actually not that many, and not as many as banks. And a number of them have affiliation with banks. So that they are highly regulated. Their asset capital is something billion. I don't know what it is right now, because SEC has recently increased the share capitals for most of the organizations under SEC. So yeah, it would take a while. They don't just go into liquidation like that. But if it happens, the regulators have the mechanisms in place to ensure that the trust assets are protected.
Awesome. Some kind of insurance, isn't it?
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. I don't know whether we have any other pressing questions. Sorry, we're a bit, we've overshot our time. We like to aim for 6:30, but it's been such an interesting and insightful discussion. Thank you so much. It's been such a brilliant presentation, very in-depth as well. I don't know whether we have any comments, questions from the house. I'm happy to see Prof. Nike and Auntie Jumoke, Akitela, our previous speakers. Thank you so much. Anybody have any pressing questions you want to ask before we end today's session? Yes, okay. I think you mentioned about care arrangements, about where people want to live in their final days. And some people decide they want to live at home. Some people decide they want to live in a residential home. Some people decide they want to live in a care home. And then there's also the issue, of course, I'm in the developed world, but I've worked in Africa. So it's not very common in Africa, but here people talk about whether they want to donate their bodies or their organs to charity, to other people, because when people die, they can harvest their organs, they can harvest their kidneys, their corneas in their eyes, their hearts, different parts of their bodies. They can harvest it and use it for other people to save their lives. So some people decide that they want to be an organ donor, and they usually have to register or sign, and then they also have to tell their families that they have registered to be an organ donor. But of course, towards the end, the hospital will ask that they would inform the family that this person has said they want to be an organ donor. Are they aware? Is it okay? And then they'll do the transfers and everything. Of course, a lot of people are not down with that idea, especially from our part of the world. We want to go intact the way we came, which is okay. It's your choice. And then, of course, there's the way people plan for funerals here. They will just slip a paper into your door, funeral planning, and all of these people. What's wrong with these people? Why are they slipping this thing into my door? But yes, that's because people really think ahead. People have like planned their funerals. They've paid for it. I know back at home, one of my grandmothers had like gone to look at the land where she wants to rest. She has purchased it. So it's not going to be an issue when she passes. She's almost 90.
That's actually happening more. My grandfather, when he died, everything was the grave was there, his clothes were there, his shoes, his socks, everything was there. It was just the other expenses. And recently I had a relation. I can't explain the relation, but we're related, chat. So she was over 90.
Yeah.
Everything. She had done everything. Yeah. She had bought the even the coffin, everything. So the only thing the children paid for was the path.
The party. So that's it's fine. And of course, a lot of elderly people, sometimes they are looking for something to do. So why not plan your program, your favorite songs? Don't let other people be worrying about, oh, which song did daddy like? Which song did mommy like? You can write it down. Let everybody know what's going on.
Done it. I did a will.
Yeah.
The lady, the person I said that she's in a place of dementia, early stages of dementia. The husband, I've done his will. And he's giving us where he wants to be buried. He's giving us the hymns that he wants. So people are actually planning ahead. And I think we all just need to get to the point. And he before he wrote it, he came to me. He's gone to all his children because they're all abroad. And he showed them. So he now came and we now did it. So everybody's aware.
That's good. So there's no ambiguity. There's no
ambiguity.
Yeah. And it removes quite a bit of stress as well. So yeah, if you like planning, and sometimes I just consider it wickedness, especially some people who are polygamists. You have 3 wives, you have 16 children, and you didn't make a will. As in, they're just complicating things, and then you happen to be a rich person. However, I must say that the Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children. So as your children too are growing up, they should be thinking about leaving an inheritance for their own children. So it shouldn't be that anybody is, strange. We are all leaving inheritance for each other.
Yes.
Yes, so everybody should be living in their purpose and by the grace of God, living well. But of course, we know that fingers are not equal. But yes, we should all pitch in and help when we can.
Let me give you a scenario that I even came upon recently. So after the man has wrote his will, he said that there's a part of his will that he says any child that disputes this will loses the inheritance.
That's hard.
Yeah.
But it's his will, so he can do what he wants with it. Yeah, it is.
And he said he called a meeting. Yeah, I went to see a friend of mine that lost his mom. She's also elderly. So we're all just talking. And the lady said that her father told them that if any child disputes this will, you lose your inheritance. I'm saying it in front of all of you.
Yeah. Well, of course, when the children too are doing very well, there will be no issue about disputing anybody's will,
That's why I said it's about dignity. The fact that you're a child does not mean you will inherit.
Yes.
It's my own to do as I wish.
Yes.
Don't sit on expecting from your parents. Live your life. So when it comes, it's an extra.
Yes. But it's definitely going to come. And the Yoruba proverb that they say, people that have children is children that we bury them. The ones that don't have is still children that we bury them. It's a day that is coming if we all live long enough. So we should be prepared. And I pray that God gives us good health and long life. But let us all be prepared. Thank you so much. Big thank you again to Barrister Gbemisola. A round of applause for her, please. Thank you.
Auntie, please don't forget your number and the number of that lady.
Okay, ma. I have not forgotten you at all, ma. Okay, so we'll just hand over to Sister Olanike. Are you ready for before the motto, our picture? And then Sister Olanike will take us in the motto. Brother Sukomi, are you ready?
All right. Thank you so very much, Barrister, and thank you everyone for the time. Can we turn on our cameras so we can take this beautiful picture and a smile? We also do good. Okay. All right, we ready?
Yes, we're ready.
Okay. Go. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Sister Nike, over to you. Let's hear your voice. Are you ready for the motto now? Okay, I don't think she's ready. I'll do it. Next week, we are going to be talking safeguarding adults. And Barrister Funmi Makanju had mentioned on it about safeguarding adults, CCTV. Of course, there's the issue about data protection and everything. You might not be able to put CCTV in the bedroom where your elderly ones are in a private state. and all of that. But yes, safeguarding adults is a very, very important topic, and everybody should be interested in safeguarding adults. So please invite everybody, your friends, your family, your colleagues. It's a great meeting that we shouldn't miss. And thank you to thank you to everyone that joined us on Zoom. Thank you to everyone that joined us on YouTube. I will let Sister Nika take the our motto. So please unmute yourself if you're in a quiet place and repeat after Sister Nika. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mama. Okay, so I'll say it and then you repeat it after me. It's just like 5 lines, very short and precise. I live in love.
I live in love.
I stay in peace.
I stay in peace.
I shine my light.
I shine my light.
I use my power.
I use my
power.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Stanika. Thank you so much, everybody.